Hi, welcome to POL IAF 253, Introduction to International Relations. My name is Chris Grant. I'm the professor in this course, and I wanted to explore it a little bit with you in the video. One of the things that my course is designed to do is to always let you work ahead. There are dates and the deadlines are absolutes. You have to finish the work by that day. But the advantage is if you're going to go away for a day or two, or you're going to do something different, you can always work ahead. So you don't have to take the quiz on the day it's assigned. You just have to take it by the day that it's assigned. The course is divided up into 5 modules. Modules are topics. The first module will deal with trend and transformation, for example. Inside each module, there are lessons. There are 15 lessons altogether in the course. Most modules have 3 lessons. The last module has just 1 lesson, and the module that's second to last actually has 5 lessons. But that's just because of the way the course is put together. And I follow the framework that's given in the Blanton and Kegley book. So each lesson follows 1 chapter in that book, and then it includes 3 or 4 activities for you to do. For all of the chapters, you're going to have the assignment of reading the chapter and taking a quiz. The quiz gives you 15 multiple choice questions and 20 minutes in which to take the quiz. Once you do it, it'll give you a score automatically. At midnight after the date that the quiz closes, you can look to see what the correct answers were to the quiz. The second thing that every lesson will include is a short 1 to 2, maybe 3-minute video and asking you to discuss that in a discussion forum. Then the lessons deviate a little bit. For most lessons, there will be another discussion. It'll either go along with one of the supplementary readings from Zakaria, Fareed Zakaria's book, The Post-American World 2.0, or from Richard Haas's book about the confusion in the world systems right now. And so either one of those 2 books may be assigned, and you may have a chapter, 2, 3 to read in it and then write a response to and to discuss. When I assign a discussion, I may assign you only to make 1 post, or I may ask you to make many posts. Just make sure you've made the required number of posts, and actually it's 1 post and then responses to others, so that we can get a good discussion going like we would have had if we'd had class together. Then at the end of each module, remember there's only 5 modules, there'll be a wrap-up essay. Actually, the last module I don't do this with. You just have 1 big essay to write at that last module. But in the first 4 modules, I ask you to write a wrap-up essay, about a 2-page double-spaced essay that tries to pull together some of the ideas that we've been discussing in that module of the course. And I also ask you to relate the material to a current event. This is very similar to what I did when I taught the class live, face-to-face. And again, you can work ahead on these. The first 2 modules are already open, and you can work as fast as you want through them. Just remember that it may take me a few days to grade up to where you are. I am going to try to hold us together a little bit so that Module 3 doesn't open up until May 29th, but I think you have plenty of stuff to do in the first 2 modules that you don't need to worry about that. All right, so let me refocus and talk just a little bit about Module 1. The title of Module 1 is Trend and Transformation in World Politics, and this is where we begin to explore things about world politics that may become important. The first lesson is about exploring world politics, the state of the world today. The second lesson deals with theory, preeminent theories of world politics, realism, liberalism, constructivism, and 2 important critiques to those theories, the Marxist critique and the feminist critique. And I'll be happy to answer questions about those. Sometimes that can be a little bit confusing to students. But fundamentally, Chapter 2 respects something that for a long time in international relations we've talked about, and that is the notion of the nation state. And I'm going to write it down, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about it so that you can understand this fundamental building block. So we have here the nation state. See, it's on the envelope. I wrote it there for you. And this refers to 2 concepts that we oftentimes talk about in politics. State refers to an area, so its geography. It refers to sovereignty over that area, control of that area. And it refers to institutions of government. Institutions of governance. So when we think about the state, we're thinking about these things that we're have up here, the area, the geography. We might talk about the United States of America being a nation state. We talk about the territory of the United States, including the 50 states, District of Columbia, the foreign possessions, including Alaska and Hawaii. We might talk some about the sovereignty of the United States, meaning that the government in Washington, the governmental institutions in Washington have control over that entire geography. So that's what we talk about when we talk about the state. We're talking about the institutions and the structure, the physical presence of what we would see as a government or an actor on the world scene. When we talk about the nation, we're really talking about the people, the culture, whatever community there is. So if we talk about the nation, we'll look at people, culture, community. What does that mean? And it is possible, definitely, to have a nation without a state. Oftentimes we talk about the Palestinians, especially before recent times where some sovereignty was granted to them. We talk about the Palestinians being a stateless nation. This is a group of people who have a national identity, but they do not have a state necessarily that they control. We can also talk about states. In some ways, the United States is a good example of this, that are an amalgamation of many different nations under one state. And so when we think about Native American tribes that fall under the auspices of the United States government, we would talk about multi-nations inside of the United States. And we certainly could talk about different cultures, religions, traditions, and things like that that fall into how people generally conceive of nationhood. If you were European, it would be something like this. We would look at Poland, a country, and you would say, we know what the boundaries of Poland are, and we know who lives in Poland. It's the Polish people, and they speak Polish, and they practice a national religion with Catholicism, and that's a good example of a nation-state in its traditional understanding. As the world has grown out, we found a lot of places where boundaries and ethnicities don't necessarily match. So that's the nature of the nation-state. And I wanted to emphasize that to a little bit to you. And as you're working through Lesson 2, where you're talking about realism, liberalism, and constructivism, think about how the nation-state is the primary actor. And then in Chapter 3 of this first module, the lesson that you're going to look at is going to talk about how we see non-state actors. What are other features, what are other factors that are influencing world affairs besides just the nation-state? I mean, really, the nation-state is incredibly important, but there are other factors that also influence how world affairs are conducted and how they evolve. So that gives you an idea of this first lesson, this first module, gives you a little bit of an idea of the course. Your first assignment that you have to do by tomorrow night, May 23rd, is that you need to update your Canvas profile and then use Canvas's email tool to email me about it. Now, one last thing. Generally, I carry virtual office hours. And that's Monday through Thursday from 11 to 12. That's the time that I try the hardest to be online so I can answer questions. So if you want to send me an email or you want to otherwise contact me, that's the best time to do it because that's when I'm most likely to be here. Now, today I have to take my daughter to the orthodontist, so I'm not going to be here during that time, so it's not a perfect system, but I will most days try to be in between 11 and 12, Monday through Thursday. So if you're having a problem, try to shoot me an email during that period of time. I will do my best to get back with you within a few hours. 24 hours, I hope, will be the maximum, unless we get away for a weekend, and then might take a little bit longer. A couple of weekends I have to take my kids to camp and things like that. But for the most part, I really try to be on top of it. I've taught online a number of times before, and I understand the frustration that goes on for you when you're waiting for me to respond and you haven't gotten anything. All right, well, that's the almost a little over 9-minute introduction. Remember, you can always work ahead. What you can't do is come and say, look, I have to go out of town. I'm going to miss these deadlines. Can you give me more time? My answer to that is going to be, you could have worked ahead, so work ahead. Feel free to work ahead. The only thing you may need to come back to is to put some responses to some discussion posts. All right, I wish you all the best of luck. I'll try to be in touch with you with some of these videos on the first of each week or the first of each module. Let me know if you have questions. I will do my best to answer them and be back with you quickly. Good luck.